Good morning. Today we're working on this. Yesterday you saw me in the not charcoal, but oil pastel area of my painting. Today you can now see what appears before the oil pastel. I'm usually firstly working with acrylics, then you have this is spray paint, this is also spray paint. I've used a lot of spray paint over the years, probably one of my most used mediums, and I've used them to paint pretty portraits, right? But now I'm sick and tired of everything having to be so pretty all the time, so I'm using them to create these funky monsters. And what I'm noticing more and more is I get to the point where I'm done making the background, right? And I know I want something, but I don't necessarily know what the end result is gonna be like. So I don't know where I'm headed. I'm deep in the unknown, right? And I find that most days I just have to jump and sort of start to, today we started on this, or I started on this. And it was like, okay, I might fuck it all up now, but I have to do it. I have to take that leap of faith. And worst case scenario, we're gonna have to do it all over again. I doubt that. Now, I intended to use this color, but as you can see, this was yesterday's color. You'll see the same color over here. I've been in this palette for a while, but I found this scarf this morning and took it as a sign that I'm probably in more yellow and orange vibes right now. So we're just gonna see where this takes us. I'm also in the early stages, more sort of sketching than I am actually caring about the details. It's just, let me get down the idea first. Let me jot down the idea. So you'll see this guy is an idea. I have another idea over here. And when mapping out sort of ideas instead of fully committing, I am fully committing, that's not what I'm saying, but instead of adding the whole thing right away, I can adjust as I go. Like that. As you can see, I'm also intentionally fucking with the light and shadow. So you'll see, it makes no sense that this guy gets light from this side, since these monsters get light from back here. But the common denominator is that the sun is obviously over them. And it looks to be more set this way, even though this guy has light here as well. So I was playing with the thought of maybe there's two suns, right? Maybe there's two light sources. We don't know that. We're gonna have to fine tweak the colors here and here as well. I haven't fully decided on what color wave I wanna go, or I wanna rock in that area, because I'm quite conscious of every color having to flow nice with every other color, right? So this as well is not the vibe, but I got the idea down, and I got the idea down with the towers as well. This is basically, it can be Lord of the Rings like Saruman. By the way, I'm gonna have a solo exhibition in under 10 days. And painting wise, I feel like I've done my job, to put it that way, in terms of marketing and everything else that is surrounding a solo exhibition. I'm not quite there yet. I feel like I've announced it, so people know that it's gonna be. And I have on Facebook about 100 interested and 30 that says they're gonna come. So I take that as a good sign. I've also made a pre-dinner, and that's probably what I'm most excited about. I've invited everybody that has bought originals from me up until this point So the list is about 30-ish people. And the intention of that night is basically to sell paintings. Easy as that. It's to sell paintings. So I'm gonna supply it with some good food. And I've already sold one of them, which is, I take that as a good sign. That got sold yesterday. So my intention has been from day one to sell paintings before the opening of the exhibition. The original intention was actually to sell out the whole exhibition before it opens. And that's still possible. That's also why I'm doing the pre-dinner, right? But it's such a far-fetched and abstract goal that I'm not going to say I don't have faith, because I have faith that I can do it. But it's not like crystal clear faith. It's more like we'll see what happens. I can set goals that if I am in control of the goals, I find them easier to have faith in, to put it that way. Like, I know that the paintings are gonna sell, but setting a deadline is harder, I find. Choosing to paint every day, that's another thing, right? That can be a goal, and that goal is easily achievable because I control it. I decide to paint every day, but I cannot necessarily control if people want to buy my artworks or not. I can just control my outputs, right? I can control how good I paint or how authentic I paint. So that's also why I've delved into this sort of magical landscape and magical intuitive painting style, because I noticed that my job is to do me as much as possible, and that's all I can do. And I can obviously change myself and all of that, those things. And it's not changing, it's more like becoming yourself. Like taking away all of the programs we've been running on, right? The programs of it's not possible and I'm not worthy and all of those things. I can see a face here as well. I can also see a face here. But this gives me Basquiat vibes, so I intentionally haven't added it yet. Just because I don't want to flow into the Basquiat vibe. I feel like we have enough Basquiat copies. So, yeah. Doesn't Saruman's eye also have flames? I think so, right? Isn't that a flaming eye? I'm quite sure it is. I also wanted to sell out the exhibition before it even opens, because then I'll send quite a strong signal to the art market. That was sort of my thoughts around that. It's like, holy shit, we have to keep an eye on this guy because he's obviously doing something. And then we're gonna have to... And I will say, when I sold that yesterday, it came out of nowhere and I thought, this is a really good sign. This is a really good sign. It's a sign that we're on the right path. And that our manifestations might come to fruition. We don't know yet. I have faith. I have faith. Deep down I have faith, and then my conscious mind is like, oh, but we need the proof, we need the details, we need to know how. That looks horrendous. No, no, no. I want to say thank you also for the response lately on, yesterday I uploaded a video and it was like paint with me. And I thought in the back of my head, like, you guys were like, fucking finally. I feel like people just want to see me paint and talk about art tips. And I'm like, bro, but I want to talk about spirituality. I want to talk about finding ourselves and what's the meaning of life. And it makes sense because I'm an artist, right? And I've been debating whether or not my target audience should be me 5 years ago or me 3 years ago. Because 3 years ago I was all about painting, 5 years ago I was all about spirituality. I hadn't started painting at that time. And I don't necessarily post that much of me going through kind of the problems that I'm facing with content, right? Because I want to give you guys solutions, not more problems. But I guess just sharing your journey authentically is as important. And I noticed that when I watch painters that I look up to or that I find cool, right? They don't necessarily have to yap about some super intelligent shit for me to be intrigued and interested. I just want to peek inside their mind, right? I just want to get to know, like, what do they know that I don't know? How do they think? And why do they think like that? And what I've concluded with is that even though art is a lot about the techniques, it's also a fuck ton about that mindset. And I thought about that with, let's say, Van Gogh or all of the big painters that used to live, that sold few paintings, right, when they lived. I think the reason is their mindset wasn't there, and it took them to die to sort of, and this is an abstract theory, I know that, but it's just what I've been thinking, right? It took them to die to release the internal resistance of how their works look. And when they died, people, since there were no resistance towards it, people could finally enjoy it again and sort of recognize and see it for what it is. And then the value goes up as well because the artist isn't constantly thinking like, this is worthless, this is worthless. It might be abstract, and I don't know if you catch my drift when I say that, but if you do, I find that an interesting thought. It might not be true, it's hypothetical, it's theoretical. The spray painting portions of these paintings doesn't necessarily take that long, but adding oil pastels in these dimension takes a lot of time. I can have the essence of each painting done in a day or two, and then I can spend weeks just fine tweaking with oil pastels. Do you want a guy writing this as well? Have the head here. We need a neck. Okay, I decided to paint for a little while after I stopped recording. This is basically where we are at now. And the main mission, the main objective now is to get these two color waves to flow well together, because I don't necessarily think they're that great. I have a couple of options. We can either turn this red, we can turn it yellow. That's two options. We can do the same thing here. We can also introduce the same palette as the skin. But that's gonna be boring, I think. So we're gonna see what happens. Most of my drawings are in this sort of middle stage as well, where the colors are all over the place, and I have to decide, like, should I now do this guy more orange or should I do this guy more pink? We're in the middle. I love this guy, and I think the foot is like this. So this is the underside of the foot. I wanted to fuck with the perspective. I think we're gonna need some weights over here to sort of counterbalance everything that's going on in this direction. But a lot of the movement is in this direction, so that sort of counters it by itself. We still haven't fixed this, but we're gonna do that. And that's pretty much what we got done. I don't know if it's for the day. I might possibly paint some more. We also added rain. Some days are rainy days, but that's okay. I also love the lightning hitting the house, the tiny house here. The house is on fire and these are like... So yeah, we'll see where we end up. But I'm quite fond of it as of right now. And that's pretty much it for today. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you got some cool paintings as well. See ya.